welcome to Creativity Rules. How are you?
Well, I am very well, although, when people ask, how are you? You really want to tell, but then I understand, the setting is such that you say, I'm very well, all is fine, and God has been kind, and thank you very much. So I will stick to that answer. The actual answer we can discuss after the podcast. How are you?
That's an interesting bit, Priya. So, Priya, the reason I got you on this show is because I've been viewing your work closely for the last 5 years. And if there is one thing that really describes you is your sheer diversity of work. Being an author, motivational speaker, I think founder and CEO of 2 companies now, you do a lot of eclectic work. And in my view, if somehow you're versatile and diverse in what you're doing, creativity is a given thing because without creativity, you can't embrace a lot of diversity. So I want to
Right.
start this conversation with a basic question, Priya. Why you do what you do, and how did this clarity emerge in your head that, I want to be a motivational speaker, I want to be an author? Because come on, you're India's one of India's youngest motivational speaker. You started it by the time you were 22 or something. So how did you go about it?
Yes. Well, I feel if you talk about clarity, I feel love brings clarity, and if you love what you do, then the journey ahead becomes clear to a distance. You travel that distance and then it unfolds further. So I always followed my heart. It's when you don't follow your heart, the confusion comes in. Then you say, I don't know what to do. There is chaos, there is unclarity, and that leads to a lot of despair. So, and sometimes to follow your heart, you have to fight for it because other people want you to follow their heart or what they think is right or what has worked for them or what they think is right for you. And that could be totally in contradiction to what you really want to do. So sometimes following your heart is a difficult journey, but not as difficult as going with the flow and doing what someone else wants you to do. So from childhood, it's not that I had thought about a profession. For me, professional life was do your MBA, get a high flying job, because that's what everybody was thinking.
Yeah.
But when you start on this path of, I love to talk, I love to read, I love to write, and as you progress on it and don't quit, opportunities start unfolding one by one. And by opportunities, I necessarily don't mean money exchange. Opportunities to express, opportunities to do. And if you continue on that journey of grabbing the opportunity, doing more, growing more, eventually, whether that profession exists or not, you will make a mark for yourself and the money exchange will come. So that has been quite my, I would say, journey in everything that I have done. Whatever that you see today as my title or my designation or my accomplishment has been a result of grabbing opportunities of work and expression and then finally landing up where I have come today. And yes, creativity plays an important role because you have to think different. Because see, everybody's thinking a set way and you're thinking like this. And it's awesome when people don't understand you, which means to first understand yourself, to find expression and then show them the result, you have to think different. And different is creative. It means going against, not against, but taking a road less traveled, finding ways that nobody has ever charted, and that needs for you to make different permutation combinations, to sometimes defy logic, to sometimes imagine things, be willing to take risks, be willing to fail, and then be willing to continue the journey despite obstacles, setbacks, or successes. So while creativity is a nice and fancy word, this is what it entails. It basically is think different, take a stand, and be willing to face the music if you get lost, but find your way back and be on the way.
You said a lot of profound yet simple things, Priya. Priya, I want to start with the premise where you said a lot of people want you to follow their heart, their set of experiences. Right. So I'm sure when you made unconventional choices, did that noise of other people's opinion, did it bother you? How did you really tide the wave at that point in time?
See, I'll tell you, it was easy for me. I understand it's not easy to go against the norm, to defy people who genuinely care for you, who have cared for you in the past, and risk being left alone, feeling lonely, being ridiculed, being watched, being judged. I know it's very difficult, but as a child, I was a loner. I was always doing my own number. I was never somebody who would mix up, go hang out, go for birthday parties and so on. So I was used to being left alone, so at least that fear was not there. I was used to being judged. She's arrogant, she's a snob, she's a bookworm, she's a nerd, she'll never come, she's not a good friend. So wo sab sun liya tha. I had already gone past that, and I feel if you must fail early, so that you can quickly move, get up and move on. You don't have to face that again. See, as adults, it's very difficult for us now to be subject to judgment, to be subject to left alone when you've been surrounded by 30 people all your life. So I didn't have that. Luckily, I was always self-sufficient. So it didn't quite bother me. But yes, when people warned me, okay, by giving other people's examples of failure, then I think that puts additional pressure and responsibility to prove your point and stand. And that needs focus, that needs a willingness and determination to get to the destination, so you can turn back and tell them, see, it worked, I made it happen. Yeah. So noise, I think, becomes a problem when you've given too much importance to what other people say. Follow your heart. Yes, listen to everybody. They might give you really good nuggets of wisdom. They may give you warning. Their experience may help serve your journey. But end of the day, make decisions which are in alignment with what you love. So that is my little take on it.
So, Priya, you mentioned that in the journey of creativity, it's very important to embrace the difficulties or obstacles that come. And when you find the music on, you find your way back. And I'm thinking it's about the failures you're going to make, the goof ups that you're going to create. What were the initial goof ups that you made in your initial journey? And did that setback impact you? How did you find your way back?
See, I'll tell you a few things, both from my career as a speaker and a writer. See, I have found, like, for example, when I was a motivational speaker, I decided to take the route of experiential learning. Okay, so I decided to do the firewalk. Now, firewalk is a very spiritual activity, but I found a deep connect in my professional growth. See, spirituality is not that you sit in a mountain and meditate and let go of life. Spirituality is an action. It's easy for a person to go and sit on a mountain and make that connection versus get that saint to come and survive in the corporate world. I want to see where is spirituality in action. So I said, I want to do the firewalk in the corporate world, and everybody said it will not work. Okay, nobody is going to do that. Nobody is that stupid, and so on. So I worked harder in building the connect. All right. And my standpoint always is, did it benefit me? Did I grow? Did it help me? Am I a different person? And do I want that for others? I genuinely want that for others. So I went out and launched it, and there was no looking back. See, failure comes in, or a distraction comes in when you move to purposes other than your core. That I'm thinking of making money, there's more money in this, so let me try that. Whether it is good for me, whether it is good for others, is still a question mark. So when I do a firewalk, I always still pray. I know it benefits me. There are people who go out and sell things which they themselves don't use or don't believe in. So that is where the deviation comes in, or the failures come in. So to give you the next example, when I write books, okay, so the publishers give me ideas. Why don't you write on this subject? It's trending, it will make a lot of money, and that is the genre, etc. But I want to write stories. I want to write stories with a spiritual undertone. And in writing the stories, it solves my lives, in my life. So it worked for me. But let me tell you, if I were to do what other people say, I think coming back would, sometimes there is no coming back. Like they say, as an author, if your first book doesn't do well, nobody will believe your second book. So while yes, comeback is a good route, but sometimes the door shuts so tightly that you have to tear it down, to make a comeback. So the risk of failure, the risk of, see, setbacks will always be there. There are challenges. When I didn't listen to the publishers, eventually I had to self-publish. That's the thing. That's okay. Then when you really take a stand, sometimes people will not support you. You support yourself. If you really believe in yourself, you bet it on yourself first. Then others will bet on you. So if you talk about setbacks and failures, well, there are temporary hitches, that sometimes things don't go at the speed you want them to, or in the quantum you want them to. So let's say if I want to make $1 million, it may not happen in a month, it may not happen in the timeline that I want, it may happen later. So I may treat it as a setback. Oh, I had a target for June, I had a target for December, it didn't happen, right? So that's fine. You work harder, you find where you got distracted, find things in you to change, learn more, grow more, and then get back on track, and maybe you'll get to the destination a little later. No problem. So not quitting, I think, and finding the way back is first to admit that I went off track. Okay, now whether somebody else lured me off track or I went, to find my way back, I have to come back. I cannot start blaming the weather, the economy, or my bosses, or my colleagues, or my juniors that you took me away. They're not bringing you back. They have gone on their own journey. They distracted you, got you off the road. Now you have to find yourself back. And for that, you have to be honest and straight with yourself that what is it that got me off my purpose? And then find the way back and never go there again and stay on your track, So that's something that I have applied, that whenever I've been hit or whenever I have had a fall, I don't blame people. People are incidental, circumstances are incidental. What did I do and what can I do? The answer to these questions always brings me back on purpose.
I like this phrase, Priya, that people and circumstances are incidental.
Yes.
Priya, you have worked with a lot of clients. You have personally touched life of more than 3 million people. You have worked with a lot of corporates. Now, in your view, how can people in the corporate world, in the professional world, apply creativity? And where I'm coming from is during my one-on-one coaching, during my conversation with people misconstrue creativity with media and entertainment, or localized professions where you need creative. And the other misnomer is that creativity is not a 24/7 phenomena. It really happens when the sun rises from a particular direction. You need to be sitting in a particular alignment, having a lot of teas, and that's when the creative juices come and emanate. Now, you yourself have written more than 12 books. So I want to know from you, how does creativity get manifested in the professional world? And how can you really harness your inner creativity, Priya?
See, I feel that having a clear mind is the foundation, or is a ripe ground for creativity. If you're too messed up, if there are too many things in your head, you've not slept well, 6 people are hounding you for your targets, for your money, for your attention, kahan se aayegi creativity? You're thinking of survival. You're thinking of getting out of situations. So creativity essentially needs a calm and clear mind. Okay. And what is creativity actually? Is to think different, to create new, to create out of your individuality is creativity. But if all the time you're torn in all directions, people land up saying, I'm not myself. I can't be myself.
Yes.
And if you can't be yourself, you can't be creative. So consciously aligning your work, aligning people, and aligning yourself in, in good directions, controlled directions, I think is the only route to being super and really creative. So what does that mean for the corporate world, for a corporate executive? Because I am also one. You get the job done in that time. I am not a fan of overtime. First, you finish your work and communicate. See, you're building the foundation of creativity. Everybody is creative. Okay, that is our natural endowment. But it's dusted and it is layered under all of this chaos and confusion. Do your work with focus. If it cannot be done, communicate. Don't wait for others to come and hound you. You go back and tell them, look, I think this is going to take longer. Handle things. Be in control of your work. Second is be in control of your life, because your time is your choice. People who say, I don't have time, nobody has time beyond what is allotted. Everybody has 24 hours. But what you do in those 24 hours is your choice. And I have to assign time for myself. That is a no violation rule. Like I told you, I go for a walk, and I'll tell you, if there is a day I have not spent time with myself, it's a bad day. I'm not happy. Happiness doesn't come from, oh, I went to this party, I spoke to this person. You need time to process that happiness also, right? You need time to come back. What have you come back with? Isn't it in so many get-togethers, you had a good time, but you came back drunk, you came back upset, you came back disturbed. So what was the point? Yeah. So ensuring that I have time for myself, and those people who say I don't have time, then forget it. Chhod do. Then it is your life, and let's not even discuss growth, progress, and so on. Because if you can't make time for yourself, then leave it. So to corporate executives, I would say that think different. Okay, but once you are delivering your work per the expectations of people in good harmony and communication, they listen to you. एक तो काम नहीं किया, you've not done your job well, you've not done your job on time, and you expect them to listen to you also? No. They're saying, first you listen to me and do what I'm paying you for. So excelling in that, and essentially just focus, time management and talent. Then comes your voice, take a stand. Look, I have delivered to you what you expected. Now you listen to me. I feel this can be done better. I think this can be done different. But where did those ideas come from? From that 1 hour that I kept in my walk and my music, my phone is off. The world does not end. Trust me, the amount of calls and inflow I get, the world does not end in 1 hour that you took out for yourself. So it all is interconnected. You can't, as a corporate executive who is on the, you have that red spot on you that you could be fired anytime, or 10 people are angry with you and you come up with creative ideas, nobody's going to listen. They need to see you first. They need to see you in control first to be able to listen. Or if you believe in yourself that much, just do it and show the result. Don't talk, just show the result. So my first book, I Am Another You, I was told to write it differently. I was told to write a management book. So instead of arguing and saying, no, I don't think so and all, I just wrote the first book and I presented it. They read it, they loved it. But if you start talking and explaining, sometimes it just goes off track because people can't see the vision that you're seeing all the time. So it's better to show results and say, look, this is what it is. It can still be improved. And creativity needs commitment. You can't say, oh, you didn't listen to me, now forget it, I'll never talk. Because that's what happens in corporate meetings. People come up with ideas. The others say, oh, this was stupid. This is useless. And the guy is thinking in his head, I'll never speak again. Because I don't want to be ridiculed. I don't want to be judged. Hey, who's at loss here? You go back and rethink. Go for a walk. Don't take the car home. Pick up your car halfway. Walk at least some distance and think through what you want, what you're presenting, and how you want to solve something better.
So, Priya, what I'm taking from this part of the conversation is that majority of the time people are in the firefighting mode. And when they are in the firefighting mode, there is no scope for creativity because somehow creativity needs an ounce of composure for you to think clearly, choose precisely. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Priya, my next question is, we were all hit by pandemic. Okay. And another trend that I noticed is that people kept on saying, oh, my work responsibility has increased tremendously. And actually, I'm getting lesser and lesser time for myself because there is house chores. So Ridhima, what do I do about creativity? It needs a lot of effort. And I'm basically an accountant, or I'm basically managing the MIS. I'm just managing the data bit. Creativity is not for me. And given my circumstances, I have my family to look after. I have these challenging things. I really can't invest in creativity. So I want to know from you, Priya, that people have this perception that creativity needs a lot of effort. So I want to know from you, is there any technique, some bare minimum things that can at least get people started on the journey of creativity? They see the results for themselves, and thus they are themselves motivated to apportion more time to it. Because what I hear is a lot of noise and excuses as to why it is not possible. So what's your take on that?
See, creativity needs an environment for sure.
Hmm.
Okay, even if you have to light a diya, you need the base of that diya, the wick. It all comes together. You need the oil, you need the cotton, and then you need to light it. If
Hmm.
you just take the cotton and light it, it will just burn off in a few seconds and it's done with.
Yeah.
So creativity needs an environment. Now, creativity also urges you toward leadership. See, you could be an accountant, you could be a finance guy, you could be a technology guy. Okay. Everybody was on the same platform, so everybody's leveled up. Even the writer had the same problem of household chores, managing the family, managing the noise, and so on. So everybody came onto the same platform. Now, here additional skills of leadership comes in. See, for example, I am a writer and I need my silence to write. But there are household things to look into. There are people in the house who are also doing their job and their work. So everybody's in everybody's space, right?
Yeah.
So what shall I do? Put my writing on hold and start blaming others. You don't understand me, and my work is important and yours is not. Did you know so many divorces happened during the pandemic? So much of angst came out because now people are in each other's space all the time.
Yeah.
So delegation and people skills comes into practice. Okay, that while there are household chores, divide them. See, I started working at the age of 13, and being overprotective about people and not asking for help and not delegating work, I think is a person is at a severe loss, and that creativity will never serve them. So there are household chores, divide in the timelines to your children, to your spouse, to your parents, and they'll be happy to contribute. Because you
Yeah.
see, when you're doing something, and household chores, if divided well and if acknowledged well, is very cathartic. It's healing. Like I know this because when I was washing dishes, it's like clearing your mind.
Yeah.
You're immersed in that. Things that you do with your hands and feet, labor job, actually is hypnotic. Did you know people stand by the road just to see the road cutter? वो वहां पे खड़े होके देखते रहते हैं. It's hypnotic. So labor work actually is healing. So first of all, divide it. Second is huddle together and communicate how can we make this a harmonious relationship. So when I'm on a call or when I'm thinking or when I'm writing, this is what I expect. So when you're on a call, when you're thinking, when you're talking to friends, or when you're doing this, I will support you. Why do I expect people to support me, to go out of their way and to make things good for me, if I can't do that first? You do that first. Create an environment for people, and human beings are very natural on reciprocation. If
Yeah.
you if you smile at me, guess what? I will smile back at you, even if
That's a
I'm in a
relief.
grumpy mood.
Yeah.
So it's all back at you. You expect. So imagine I come to you and say, Riddhima, smile at me. It doesn't make sense. All I have to do is smile at you, and that's it. You will light up. In fact, you will like me more. So why am I not taking this step to bring order? So as an accountant, as a finance guy, as a technology person, as a writer, that is leadership with people skills. And then comes the peace of mind and support to sit and write. And they will appreciate it even more. So if you can make that happen, you are creative all the time.
Priya, in the last pandemic, in the last 1.5 years, you have personally done a lot of new things. So you launched this company called Genius Inside. You've written two more books, which according to you is still low in number. You could have written more books. So I want to know from you, like, what were those creativity amplifying or work environment amplifying practices that have led you to think so productively and actually launch a company at a time when companies are shutting down, and launch two more products when people are just thinking of wrapping up things and consolidating their resources? What led to that journey?
See, I feel there are two triggers for peace, for creativity. Two
Hmm.
triggers for creativity. One is peace and one is pressure. So when I'm very
I like it.
peaceful, then I can write great books. I can write stories and, happy and everything. Then there is pressure also that triggers creativity. Because see, my work was totally on ground, and
Hmm.
how long can a person like me sit at home? This is the longest that I have sat at home, that I was willing to just travel anywhere, that any volunteer help was needed. I was the first one to go with no regard. I was like, I'm willing to be infected, I'm willing to die, but I need to get out. So it was very challenging for me. So I did a lot of help work. My mother runs an NGO. So I was the first volunteer for any job needed. They just tell me to go out, I'll go. So while people were not willing, I was the driver. I perpetually had that essential services tag on my car. So you would see me go around. I think my car is the only car that left regularly from my building also. So
Hmm.
it built a lot of work pressure, that after about 3 to 4 months, first you were in denial that, oh, this will all end, and how can the whole world come to a standstill? And
Hmm.
are you nuts? The economy will crash. This world will collapse. It will never happen. But after that, in about 5 to 6 months, I understood this is not ending. Okay. And I need to do something. You can't sit and blame the economy. So let me go digital. And luckily, I attracted the right partnerships, the right people, and we took it forward. So there is a solution. What does creativity mean? It means that if this is not working, try something else. It may or may not work. Fine tune it. Try something else. Try something else. Creative means different. Creative means different perspective. Creative means see it from the eyes of uh, objectivity. That don't see your perspective only, because that sets in as routine. That's rigid. That's gone. That's stone. You have to be fluid, and for that you have to flow. You have to go over the pebbles, lose your way, come back, and it's an adventure. Creativity is an adventure. See, as it is, time went by. No, 1.5 साल 2 साल हो गए ऐसे भी. So might as well do something. As it is, you'll suffer. If you don't do, then also you'll suffer, right?
I
So
like
might as well
that.
suffer doing something new.
So, what is the philosophy of genius inside? And I also wanted to know from you, Priya, that somehow in people's head, including mine, writing a book is this behemoth task, which really requires you to ostracize yourself from society, sit in a corner, get that silence, and write that book. But it seems like you churn out books the way people churn out, vada pav from the kadhai. That's your speed. That's the precision with which you write. So, what goes around in churning these books at such a breakneck speed?
Well, see, I'll tell you, like you said, finding the peace, plucking yourself out from society and moving. Writing a book also is talent. You have to have flair for language. You have to have flair for expression. You have to have articulation, clarity, objectivity, and great depth in human potential, in human behavior, because technically, whatever story you write involves life. So you need to be an observer, a reader, a sponge, a learner, a student for life, to be able to create a story. Because see, a story, let's say, all my stories have a writer. So that's me. I know myself. But it also has other people,
Yeah.
right? In one of my books that was made into a web series, there's a suicidal pilot. A, I'm not a pilot. B, I'm not suicidal. I have an astrologer. I'm not an astrologer. So now imagine I have to think from those characters and build a common thread, where life comes full circle for everyone as a result of each other's company. So that needs some grounding and depth and rooting in human behavior, human potential, laws of nature, how life works, experience. And if that doesn't come from my life, It comes from a lot of exposure to a lot of other people's lives, as you can see the books behind. So it's like saying that, chalo, I will take out 2 weeks. I want to sit in one silent place and sing. But hey, singing mein to sur milana padta hai na. You
Mm.
have to have that base, that talent. Giving me the time and opportunity is not it. Where is my investment in developing my skill, my talent, and my uniqueness, my individual expression? So to be a writer, you have to be a reader, you have to be a learner, you have to be good at communication, you have to be good at language, good at articulation. Then when given the space and opportunity, you'll churn out books like vada pav. So that I think would be a full circle of creating anything as an expression of your uniqueness.
Priya, another thing that I hear from the budding writers or people who, let's say, are professionals but want to write on LinkedIn articles or want to write blogs is that like for example for budding authors there are too many authors in the market. In fact, books is the most sold out, under leveraged and underused commodity. Why will anyone notice me? Or for that matter, when I ask them to write blogs on LinkedIn, they're like, I'm not a writer, what do I write? I just know my job well. So people usually have certain self-limiting beliefs or certain boulders that they have in their own mind. No one has stated that to them, that their creation will not work. When you wrote your first book, did you grapple with this pressure, whether this book will sell or not, or whether I'm going to get recognized or not? Was there any moment of fear where you said, what if my book gets unnoticed? Did that thought haunt you at any point?
See, I feel there's a time and place for everything. I have learned that don't fight battles that don't exist. Yes, it's good to preempt. Like if I start thinking, how will I climb the mountain? How will I climb the mountain? First, get to the mountain. Get up right now. Wear your track pants. Tie your shoe. At that much I can do. Get in the car. That much I can do. Drive to the valley. That much I can do. Then we will see, okay, how to climb the mountain. Get some help, or come back and learn and study, but at least cover some distance. But if I sit here and think about it, oh, mountain is too big, I'll never even wear my shoes. So
Yes.
when I was writing my first book, I Am Another You, I just thought of writing the book because it was my thing. I want to write a book. So I finished writing the book. Whether somebody will read it or not, whether it will sell or not, whether publisher will take it or not, is later. But first, let me write a book. Okay. And after I wrote a book and a publisher took it, now what? Now marketing. And I studied marketing. I spoke to every marketing head, the people that I had worked with. Look, I've written a book, teach me, tell me. And then whatever they said, I did, and my book became a hit. But if I start thinking about marketing, then I've cluttered my mind and my book will never come out creatively as it did. It needs clear right now, a clear mind right now. So do first right now, get your product ready, then worry later. Or assign other people to that you will help me, you will help me, I'm writing my book.
Priya, I'm curious to know, you've been working since the age of 13 and you were a French teacher who used to teach people at
Yes.
that young age, and then you became a motivational speaker. I want to know from you, if I do the mathematics, it's more than 2 decades of work. My maths is very poor, so please.
Yeah, three,
Three, right?
3 decades.
Yes, 3 decades of work. What drives you at this point? Because what I see is, if you have any inadequacy in life, you really work hard to address that inadequacy. Or if you have this drive to prove yourself to people, you work like crazy. But what I feel is that after a point, your money requirement and your proving requirement gets quenched because there's a limit to it. So, what is that consistent drive that has driven you to this point in time where you feel like I have something more to achieve? I want to work hard. So, what is that drive that keeps you going?
See, I'll tell you, to be honest, what I do always is I take more than I can do. So technically I have bought over work and commitments for the next 5 years. That if you tell me today, Priya, I want to write a book with you, shall we do it? I'll say yes. Okay, now that project has gone into 2021 end. So it's already It's like how you have a calendar full of hours and days. My calendar is full for the next 5 years, and of amazing work. It's not even, routine work. That, for example, I have a film project which I have put for 2022. So I have to do it. I've already committed. I have already set it all in motion. So when I wake up in the morning, it's literally like this. I really wish I could do more. I don't have that much time. And now, because I have learned to delegate, I am finding people who are also passionate about the little things, so the whole watch is coming together. I have learned to share passion so I can do more. So I think it also comes from a very right place of self awareness. I know what I'm capable of. I know my potential, and daily I know that I'm falling short of that expression, and that drives me. I don't want to end this life saying, that's what I wanted to do, I didn't do, I could have done more, I could have written more books. I want to finish it all. And when I look within, when I make a list of things that I'm capable of, that I would love to do, that I aspire to do, I keep doing good karma, and I tell people when they praise me or they bless me, I say, I live 2 days longer. I'm buying time, literally, because with the amount of work or the passion projects I have on my plate, I know that every additional day after my time is up counts. So with good karma, I'm trying to buy time just to finish my job.
So what is the ultimate purpose that you're trying to serve? One I understand is full expression of what you love to do, your passion. But what is the peripheral outcome, or what is the impact that you want to create in the long run, Priya?
See, I'll tell you, people close to me, okay, and people who've been connected with me through my work, they have a lot of admiration for me. They say, you're special, you're gifted, you had the right things going for you, and therefore you are like that. And I tell them, no, you are like that originally. So I want to help people. That why should I be here alone? I want more company. So that drives me. People suffering, which I see as an illusion and temporary, drives me to get them out of it. That if everybody was performing to their highest potential, I think we would have such an amazing world. Then living would go to another level. When you meet people, you're inspired, you come back and you say, oh my God, I'm just so blessed to be alive. I learned so much, I grew so much, that if this is the journey, I started with this on the planet, I am done with it. I don't need to come back for another round because reh gaya kuch. So that's my drive, and that's the purpose with my writing, with my speaking, and now with Genius Inside, that I honestly truly believe that we are capable beyond measure. Only we are holding ourselves back. And I just want to separate the enemy, from the potential, and the enemy is you.
I
So
like that line,
that
the enemy
drives
is
me.
you. My last and culminating question as we conclude the show is, a lot of people, given these circumstances, are somehow stuck, but they crib about it. For example, some people say, my job is not good. Some people say, my boss is not good. Some people say, I have too much family load going for me. Some people say, I have taken a sabbatical. I'm not sure if I can get back or if it's meant for me. What would be your message for all those people who are somehow stuck? How can they rekindle that fire and start with the first step of their journey going?
See, first of all, I feel that if you're stuck somewhere, then you've created that obstacle. You can't expect someone else to clear that mess for you. Like you said in the beginning, that somebody says that, I'm stuck in my job. Who's holding you there? Has someone tied you? Has someone threatened you? You are sitting there because you are not brave enough, courageous enough to either take a stand and say, stop it, or to move out. You're waiting perhaps for other people to change or things to get better so you can be happy. It never works that way. You have to understand it. And I'll tell you that sometimes it's okay just to break away. If you really are in a job that makes you unhappy, then being jobless is still better. You'll be able to think better. Perhaps you'll be able to create different avenues. Perhaps you'll be forced to think different and creative. You never
Yeah.
know. Like I said, peace and pressure both compel creativity. So taking action and taking responsibility, I think, is the only way out. Otherwise, you can crib till the cows come home. You will not only lose your morale and confidence,
Yeah.
self-respect, you'll also start losing friends and faith from other people, who
Hmm.
will perpetually see you as a cribber. And see, if you are friends with somebody who complains, you do give that person advice, right? Go speak to your boss, go apply somewhere else. They don't do it. They don't take action, and that's why they are stuck. And I'll tell you, all of us have been on the advisory board for a lot of people, right? So, and how simple their problems look to us, and how complicated they make them not to take action, we behave the same way. So
Hmm.
stop behaving. If you have given any piece of advice to somebody, use it. When you're giving advice to people, no, make your little advice book. My black book of advices I have given. Now read it back when you're when you're in any problem. You won't need to consult anyone. You are the
You
greatest
are your
consultant for
own
yourself.
savior. Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think, Priya, my few nuggets that I'm taking away is beginning with the fact that when you're in a creative journey, it's not going to be an easy journey and a straightforward journey, because a lot of people want you to traverse the journey that they have traveled. And it may look like you're the odd man out, but hang in there because things will get better eventually. And I
Right.
like that expression of fail early, fail cheaply, right in the beginning, rather than having this thing, what if I fail massively? Will there be a loss of face? The second thing I liked about the conversation is that you will get stressed, or you will get confused, or you will lack clarity when you're on a purpose which is not really aligned to your core. And I think that's really true. When we're not aligned to our core, it's easy to blame others, because you blame others for the choices you took based on their experience. So I think that's a very important learning. I like the paradox of peace and pressure to get your creativity going. And the fact that you can complete time in apportioned nuggets for you to have some time for yourself where you can think creatively and start taking action. So I think I'm going away with a lot of takeaways which are practical in nature. And the best part is it doesn't really require me to sit on a mountain and think deeply. And you've not suggested anywhere to go for a meditation, because meditation is really not my cup of tea, and I'm not sure if it is for others. So thank you so much, Priya, for making time for this conversation. As usual, it was a pleasure talking to you, Priya.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, I've seen your journey. I have seen you grow. I did one show with you. I have worked with you. So, and it makes me very proud, to see someone who is consistent, who is still on the way despite distractions, and someone at your age, as young as you are. There are other things that call our attention to deviate us, but you've been at it and you've grown so much. Yeah. I mean, you are an inspiration for the young and the old. You are for me. And it's been a pleasure to be here. Seriously, a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so
I
much,
wish you
Priya.
more
And I
power.
will continue to bug you as usual whenever I get stuck. I sometimes put a lot of comments on your Instagram and I'm at it on your WhatsApp. So it's not that I'm a stalker or something. I just like to keep consistent people around me. So it's just that.
Yes. No, I appreciate it and I value it.
All right. Thank you so much, Priya.